The Celtic Wiseman is a 75-mile road circuit through the spectacular backdrop of Devon and Cornwall's breathtaking array of moorland, woodland, and coastline. It has its origins as an Ironman training ride, so it's definitely not for the faint-hearted and very much aimed at serious club riders. It takes its name from Martin Wiseman, who is a friend of mine who has had ME for over 8 years now. And initially, the circuit was set up to raise money for ME Research UK and has now been extended to also include UNICEF. So please do think about making a contribution to either ME Research UK or UNICEF if you take part in this ride. There are 7 stages, and it is a loop, so it can be completed in any order. The way I've set it out here, it starts at Nos Mayo, which is the route which I took when I was embarking on this the first time round. Please, 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 if you do get involved with this route, take part or support anyone who is taking part, please share any photos or any media you have with the hashtag Celtic or Wiseman. Stage 1 is Spirit of Discovery, and it's a nice 10.2-mile run into Plymouth. So it's a good opportunity to warm up, and I would suggest you start fairly early at Pope's Quay in Nosmay. You've got a very nice, short, sharp, punchy climb initially, before you descend to Bridgend, effectively handling the River Yelm on your left shoulder. You're then going to continue around the head of the estuary and climb up towards Colleton Cross, which is going to be the high point for this climb at about 250 feet. And on a clear day, you've got spectacular panoramic vistas right across Dartmoor. Straight after that, you're going to turn left and descend down through a fairly heavy canopy towards Puzzlinch Bridge. So do take care of the lighting and bumpy road surface. Once you've gone over Puzzlinch Bridge, you will have a short climb which will take you to the A379. This is a fairly busy A road, and it's going to guide you through Brixton and Elberton all the way into Plymouth. All you've got to worry about now in terms of navigation is keeping your eyes out for the River Plym and the fairly large bridge at Lara. So as soon as you hit Lara Bridge, hang a left, and you're going to follow here one of the cycle routes here, which is now signed towards the Barbican, which is Plymouth's historical quarter. And on a good day again here, you'll have some amazing views right across Plymouth Sound, looking at Drake's Island and the Citadel. And these will welcome you into the Barbican. Including passing the Mayflower Steps. The condition of the road, the cobblestones here can be a little bit tricky, and also in the summer there are a lot of pedestrians, so watch out going through here. The route takes you straight past Rockets and Rascals, which is a fantastic cafe to have a little espresso pit stop if you are in need of a bit of a pick-me-up. From there, you're just going to follow the road and the signs towards the Royal William Yard, where you're going to catch the Kreml ferry. Now, the times vary depending on when you're going in the year, so very much worth checking in advance so you can time your ride accordingly. And indeed, if you're starting the loop somewhere else, the Royal William Yard has got some excellent eateries and restaurants, so if you're arriving here later in the day, definitely worth stopping there for lunch. Stage 2 is the aptly named Cerno de Azor here, a reference to the Celtic origins, so Cerno meaning Cornwall, and the Sunshine Coast. You will see some phenomenal panoramas here right out across Lou Bay and towards Lizard on a clear day. The route overall is 12.6 miles. It's very hilly and undulating. Particularly towards the end where there is a very steep 450 feet descent into Downderry. But it starts at Mount Edgecombe Park from where you will be dropped off from the Kreml ferry, and you get an idea of what to expect straight away here, from a very steep and arduous climb all the way up to somewhere called Maker Heights, where, if you haven't had lunch or indeed brunch, there is a really top-notch kitchen there called the Canteen at Maker Heights. From there, you're going to descend into King Sands, through King Sands and Core Sands, and these will give you an opportunity to look back at the Royal William Yard and Plymouth Sound from the Cornwall side. The next section is probably my favourite part of this entire route. You climb up onto Military Road, and this is where you get the breathtaking views all the way down to the Lizard and across the coastline. You're going to follow this road past some fantastic sites, including Tregantle Fort. And once you've passed Tregantle Fort, again, you've got views all the way, not only across Dartmoor, but now you can see down to Bodmin Moor as well. You're going to continue through some small villages, Craft Hole, Port Wrinkle, so on, and you've got opportunity here to refill if you need any more drinks or glucose. As I said, the final descent then on this section down into Downderry is exceptionally steep and exceptionally tricky, particularly given a very sharp hairpin bend right on the lead into Downderry. Downderry is the end of this stage, and it marks a particularly a poignant part of the ride because this is where my friend Martin Wiseman has been for the past 8 years, suffering from ME. So he's got a lot of muscle wastage, is not able to speak properly, and it requires full-time care. So if you wanted to write a letter to try and give Martin some encouragement to get better soon, I'm sure if you just drop it in at the post office in Downderry, they would be able to forward it to his parents. Stage 3 is the aptly named Escalator, which is 8.4 miles, and despite the fact there is a small descent in it, feels like you are climbing for all of those 8.4 miles. You're climbing right from sea level at Seaton, where you go past the tantalising prospect of a bit of sunbathing on the beach, up to a height of 400 feet. So from Seaton, you follow the road up to Hessenford, where you very briefly cross over the A387 and then embark on an especially steep climb up some pretty unforgiving country lanes, which will eventually spit you out at the Trulefoot roundabout, which gives you an opportunity to cross and follow the A38 very briefly towards Tideford. Top tip here is keep an eye out for the butchers. Firstly, they do some very mean Cornish pasties to give you a bit of a pick-me-up. But secondly, that's where you're going to want to hang a left, leaving the A38. And again, continue up on following some of the country lanes. This is going to take you up through Tideford Cross and towards Blunts, which is going to be at 400 feet and will mark the high point of this section. Stage 4 is the Big Dipper, and as you may expect, there are a lot of ups and downs in this 11.3 mile section, but this contains some of the most tricky climbs in the whole ride, taking you up to a summit of 570 feet. It starts off on the right foot as you have a very steep descent down from Blunts towards Clapper Bridge, where you cross the River Liner. This is termed Bramble Woods, and it's a very nice place to stop and have a picnic, especially, for instance, if you had picked up a pasty in Tideford. It's also where the fun really starts, with arguably the toughest climb on the whole circuit. You've got a 1.2 mile climb up 450 feet. And this is particularly trying on the legs. You'll eventually get past the False Horizons and arrive at Amy Tree. From here, you're going to follow the roads towards St Melian, where you'll cross the A388, and St Dominic. Again, plenty of opportunities to refill at these with various pubs and small shops en route. From St Dominic, just as you go out through the end of the village, you're going to hang a left down a very steep, narrow country path here. And the end is not particularly obvious. It almost looks like you're continuing onto the main road. So just take care towards the bottom that you actually stop at the giveaway signs. Again, very scenic narrow valleys with some nice meadows. You're going to cross over and head up towards Alberston and towards Gunners Lake. Now, I would strongly encourage you to take full advantage of all the opportunities at Gunners Lake to restock as various garages, pubs, etc. Because the next section is going to be particularly challenging. Stage 5 is the gateway to the moors, and there is a fairly heroic 550-foot climb on this 9.4 mile stretch. As soon as you leave Gunners Lake, you are going to take the bridge, which provides a picturesque view over the Cornwall-Devon border, and you are going to continue straight ahead. So rather than taking the main road round to the right, you're taking the small road straight ahead. It's going to take you directly up the first stage of the hill before you eventually rejoin the A390 for what seems like a unending climb all the way into Tavistock. At this stage, you probably want to make use of one of the numerous cafes and restaurants in Tavistock. Have a decent break because you're going to need it. The climb will continue as you exit Tavistock on the Whitchurch Road, climbing towards Whitchurch, and through Horrobridge before you rejoin, or you join in fact the A386, which will continue your climb up until the summit of this entire ride at Yelverton, which is truly the gateway to the moors, where you will have a chance to restock before a nice descent in the next stage. Stage 6 is Railroad, and this 9.7 mile route is a great release after all the climbs that you've done before, because this is almost unadulterated descent of 600 feet from Dartmoor right back down until river level, sea level. And even more than that, this route follows the Plym Valley Railway route, which has now been turned into a well tarmacked cycle and walkway. There is opportunities here to go pretty fast, but you need to be mindful of the fact that, especially in summer, there are a large number of pedestrians here as well. This little section gives you some really exquisite views over both the moors and through the lowland woodlands as well. Particularly toward the top, there's a great pub to have a quick pit stop at called the Skylark. That's right before you get onto the Plym Valley Railway track as signed. You will end up at Saltram House on this leg. The path that you're following, or Drake's cycle path, will take you into Plymouth, but you don't want to follow this. So as soon as you get to the grounds of Saltram House, you're going to follow the road left up a hill rather than taking the cycle path to the right. If you do take the cycle path, you'll very quickly realise you can't continue on a road bike because it's very much a mountain bike path. So yeah, from Saltram House, that will lead you into the next and final stage. After such an exhilarating descent in Stage 6, Stage 7 and Pope's Key is the one that will finally guide you the 10.8 miles back to the start of the Celtic Wiseman Perpetual Loop. It's a fairly undulating route through Fore Street, Plymouth and St Maurice, which will then take you up through the Ridgeway, and you'll be handmailing the A38 before you cross over at Lynham, and follow the signs to Yampton, where you'll be going through some pretty unspoiled countrysides and farmlands. Yampton, you're going to cross over. You're going to go straight over the crossroads with a steep descent, which is going to take you out through Yampton and back towards Nosmayo. You're going to pass through Collerton Cross, which you would have seen at the very beginning of the ride. And after that, you're going to take the next left at Whitey Cross, which will be signed Nosmay, and take you down a very steep, long descent back down to Bridgend, which will be where you will begin your final climb up into Nosmay, all the way up to St Peter's Church, at which point you will hang a right down a steep hill. You should be able to see some tennis courts in the distance, and you're going to follow this hill down to the hairpin bend round to the right. You're then going to take the first right through some quintessential fishermen's cottages, and this final 200 metres will take you back to Pope's Key and the start of what has been hopefully an epic and rewarding Celtic Wiseman. If you have completed this, please do use the hashtag Celtic Wiseman to share your experience of completing this route, and please make a donation to either ME Research UK or UNICEF.